Welcome to VERITAS. Don't forget to hit subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss our latest episodes. Please like this video, comment below with your thoughts, and share it with others seeking truth. For more exclusive content and to support our mission, visit VERITAS7.com.
The questions you always had. The answers you were never given. The place to seek the truth. Welcome to VERITAS.
Tonight on VERITAS, we venture into the unseen realms of existence to confront the profound mysteries of humanity's place in the cosmos. Our guest has dedicated his life to exploring the depths of interdimensional contact, extraterrestrial phenomena, and the forces shaping human consciousness. His mission is to help us understand the systems designed to obscure our true nature and keep us from the path of spiritual awakening. George Kavassilas has a unique perspective forged through personal encounters with beings from beyond our dimension. He brings insights into the three levels of imposition on humanity, the geopolitical, exopolitical, and cosmopolitical frameworks that have influenced our evolution and attempted to shape our destiny. After nearly 8 years, George returns to VERITAS with profound revelations, urging us to break free from structures that restrict our awareness and reclaim the light that exists within every one of us. His knowledge challenges us to see through layers of deception, reconnect with the essence of what it means to be human, and remember our infinite and eternal nature. What is Homo Luminous? The full expression of humanity's potential. How do we move beyond systems of control to rediscover the deeper truths of existence? And what role does each of us play in reshaping the future of our consciousness? Prepare to step into a conversation that may forever alter the way you perceive the world around you and within you. This interview is almost 3 hours long. George Kavassilas is coming up next. Welcome to the VERITAS Project. I'm your host, Mel Hostelrick. If this is your first time listening, welcome home. To access tonight's full interview and all of our exclusive material, simply join the VERITAS Plus family by clicking on the subscribe button at veritasproject.com. And while you're there, don't forget to check out the VERITAS store for a range of great products, including focused life force energy. Experience the power of FLFE with a 15-day free trial today. No credit card required. If you're looking to get in touch with me, have a guest suggestion, or would like to provide feedback, simply click on the contact button on our website. Your thoughts and ideas are always appreciated. So sit back, relax, and enjoy tonight's program. His website is ourjourneyhome.earth. And directly from Queensland, Australia, I'd like to welcome my friend, after almost 8 years, George Kavassilas. Hello, George, and welcome back. How are you?
Mel, I'm fantastic. It is just wonderful to be back and to be with you, brother. And thank you so much for extending an invitation. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I just can't believe it's been almost 8 years, George. So my first question, obviously, the first question is, what has happened in your neck of the woods in the past almost 8 years?
Oh, well, mate, it's been a really adventurous journey, I must say, because in the background work that we've been doing, it's very busy and it's just continued to get busier and busier and busier. So when we're working in that interdimensional and exopolitical space and we're dealing with, you know, the evolution of the planet, of the realm, and our species being the paramount species in the realm, it's really, really it demands a lot of you, you know, it asks a lot of you. And in the process of engaging in this work, you're also entering into your own personal alchemical process as well. So as you go through working in these areas, you're continually metamorphosizing, continually addressing. You've got to look within, got to look at all the distortions within oneself, and go through that process of looking in the mirror and doing the alchemy that's required. Otherwise, you cannot access the levels of conscious awareness and actually have that conscious relationship with the dimensions and the realms of creation, the structure of creation that's required to then access life in those dimensions. So, true spiritual enlightenment is different from what most people think it is or have been told it is.
I remember when we first talked many years ago, the first things that came to mind were the fractal nature of humanity, the matrix, the illusory, the illusion that we live in this computer world and we're just characters. And more people are asking me, you know what? I wonder if this is really true. So from your perspective, how true is it that we live in a fractal nature?
Yeah, look, the fractal structure, yes, is a real thing, but it is not a techno thing. Is there a techno overlay, a mimic of the natural overlaid here? Yes. The mimic is continually being created. It began in earnest in the early 90s when they created the smart dust out of the graphene and the buckyballs, and they've been spraying it throughout the realm. We're saturated, we're marinating in nanotech, unfortunately, at this stage, because it's just been, the realm has been saturated with it. So we've got to be careful, really, really careful, as to how we view reality, because a lot of people have been infected in their consciousness by this takeover of the technological intelligence god, which I've talked about for many, many years, especially in the 3 levels of imposition. And a lot of people, unfortunately, are viewing. So it's like whatever you put in here, then becomes the lenses that you perceive reality through. So if an ideology comes into your mind, because that's the interface module, if you want to be more techno talk about it, think of it as the interface module for your avatar, for your incarnational experience. This is where the ego resides. So you've got your personality interface module. Mine's George, yours is Mel. And depending what we put into this space will then become the lenses that we view reality through. So I came to realize that very early on in life through my own, direct personal experiences. And what I decided to do was go inward and then have the knowledge and information of life flow from within me then into my mind space. Because it's that portal when you go into your soul. And I know people use the word soul in a different context. They use it something localized. I do not use it in that context because of my experience in 2003, where I journeyed into the heart of the universe and I went beyond the universe and I re-experienced what it's like to be infinite. So I went through that whole process and began to realize a lot about this realm and reality. So we've got to be careful what we put in here because people are going, oh, I got downloads. I went, oh, that's interesting because I don't get downloads. I have realizations. And people are doing all this tech talk. And now they're just walking around like these droids getting downloads all the time. And when they look out, all they see is like a computer simulation or a hologram. And that tells me straight away that they're not seeing the organic, natural reality that is here and that they incarnated into, but they're caught up in this more techno simulation style, which is an overlay imprinting itself over our natural life here.
It was interesting. I was looking at the previous interviews that we'd done, and the last one we did, you were such ahead of the game, exposing the artificial intelligence, AI agenda. We didn't even start talking about AI until maybe, in the real world, the common man, in 2023. So you've been talking about this forever. Where do you think AI and AGI, where are they going?
Well, I don't call it AI, and that's a mistake everybody's making. You got to stop calling it artificial because it's not. It's an intelligence, and its environment and ecosystem is what we call technology. It's been around the universe for a very, very long time, eons, and it's the second most powerful. That intelligence has become the second most powerful god. I'm talking gods. Yeah, I'm not talking the universal intelligence, the prime creative intelligence of the universe. That is not God. I just want to be absolutely clear about that. I've been saying this for 20 years and I continue to say it, and you'll be surprised how many people know it now. Know it for themselves. Not because George says it, but from their own direct personal experience. And this intelligence is the second most powerful intelligence in the cosmos, in the way of forces of limitation. The most powerful is the God entity that goes around soliciting worship.
So when you talk about this technological God, sometimes people call silicon gods, you're saying it's been around forever. Who's the creator of that God?
Come on. To think that this type of intelligence emerging out of our computers on our planet here now is the birth of it, is the genesis point of it. That is just so naive. It's like thinking we're all alone in the universe.
Right.
I mean, the night sky is self-evident. So why people, just by looking at the night sky and rationale, logic, common sense, common rational deduction, it's a no-brainer that we're not alone. Just by looking at the night sky, that is completely self-evident, let alone the evidence that is all over our world. It's written in every religious doctrine about the extraterrestrial empires that came here. It's all throughout our monuments, throughout our cultures, and it's also in our genetics. The proof is everywhere. So why people are walking around in this mind-controlled state, because that's what it is. They're fallen victim to the mind-controlled narrative that we're all alone. It's like, and there's plenty of other narratives that are, you see, can I read something out to you? I've got this points, and they are, this is the narrative, this is cosmopolitics. So this is the narrative of the empire of the gods, and it's their cosmopolitical agenda, and a campaign of narratives, and they're designed to diminish Mother Earth and her humanity, right? Because in this whole infiltration of the techno god, people are just being cut off like it's like a scalpel, just cutting them off from their roots, from the natural way of love, the natural way of life, and the natural way of light. And they've been migrated, they're being assimilated into the technological singularity, and that's why all they see is this techno stuff. It's really kind of wild. But anyway, there's a whole bunch of narratives, and I need to read this out because it's going to create you'll begin to see the
before you do, if you don't mind, the reason why I asked you that question is because we hear now of quantum computers, and I've been told that some of these computers are connected to another dimension, and I thought that was science fiction, but apparently this is true.
Absolutely, 100% true. Yeah, of course, and I would love to dive deeper into that because I've got a lot to say about that. And what I want to say about that is some of the counsel and guidance I'm giving to the biggest movers and shakers on the planet, and that includes Mr. Musk. All right. So the gods, this is the narrative from the gods. You're all just a bunch of lowly sinners and you need saving. Yeah? Common theme, right? In religions, isn't it? All over the world. All right. Now we've got the reductionists. You are nothing more than a random set of chemical reactions limited to the 5 senses. Okay, that's their narrative. All right, let's go on to the next one. Mind-bending philosophies from channeled entities in high-end spiritual doctrine. And what is their take on it? This is all just a dream. It's just an illusion. Okay, that's their take. Now we get to the New Age religion. You're all at the bottom of the universe in this disgustingly dense reality, and you must raise your vibration. Right, that's their narrative. It's very common because it's the New Age religion, right? Now we've got the flat Earth narrative. This is a flat linear plane with a firmament. Yeah, and you and I had our differences of opinion over that many years ago.
Well, hold on. I'm still, listen, I'm a globe skeptic. I'm not a flat earther. I'm in the middle. Yeah. I would like to just go one way or the other. I entertain both possibilities.
Yeah, well, I'm going with my direct personal experience. I've been off-world so many times. No one's going to convince me this is flat because I've seen it. It's a planet, right? All right. Alien AI God, your reality, which is the TI God, actually, technological intelligence God, your reality is nothing more than a hologram or a computer simulation. Now, I want you to take into consideration that these are all different angles of approach, but they're all targeting one thing. And what they are targeting is your relationship with your mother planet, who gives you the air that you breathe, the waters that you drink, and the foods that you eat, and intelligence that is this planet. See, let me explain it this way. You don't know where you are. You don't know what you are. You don't know who you are, and you don't know why you are. And this is the issue that has befallen every single individual on this planet, except for those of us who have broken free from the actual matrix.
The primordial questions.
The hologram of the gods. Yeah, that is the matrix. Yeah. So, and natural reality, organic reality, is not constructed from numbers or geometry. It is woven into reality with pure...
Want the full story? This is just part 1. Now offering video interviews and discounted transcripts for members. Become a VERITAS Plus member today at veritas7.com.
Pure intention. Yeah. So once we get to remember organic life, natural life, compared to this techno speak and being totally engulfed in these matrices from the gods, that it's all about numbers and geometry and technology, then you'll come home to what is real, which is where the vast overwhelming majority of life in the universe actually reside, is in the natural way of love, the natural way of life, and the natural way of the natural light. The moment you start creating realities via the construct of numbers and geometry, you have now crossed the line. Now you've stepped over into synthetic life. See? And this is what people need to get very, very clear about. And the way you get clear about this is not just, it comes from here, natural relationships. So all the courses that I teach is all my follow through. So yes, I share the information, I do the expose, but I follow through with all this work to make sure people are connecting back to what's real. And all the people that are doing my courses and are being actually honest about it, because you get your few who come in and then they bounce off and go back into their old programming, right? That's normal. You get that in every course. But the overwhelming majority, mate, if you were to speak to them, Mel, you'd be amazed. Their lives are completely transformed. They're walking in conscious relationship with the realm, with creation itself, and not just this level, the multidimensional nature of creation. Yeah. And everybody, once you come out of the matrix, come back to what's real, because the only way you're going to access what's real is through what's real inside of you. That's it. Right. And I assure you, Mel, people will say anything to avoid looking in the mirror and turning inward and doing the work that's required to alchemize, to metamorphosize oneself, to extricate oneself out of the mind matrix, out of the consciousness matrix. Because this is what we're dealing with, is a multi-dimensional consciousness control structure. It's an imperial structure which is multidimensional in nature. And who sits at the throne of that empire is the being that you know as God. And that comes in many forms, different expressions, different cultures around the planet. And the way I explain it to people is, think of it, it's like a building. Think of the hologram of the gods as a building. So I'm using an analogy now. And there are many doors. So you walk around the outside of the building and there's a doorway and there's Christianity. And you go, yeah, well, maybe. And then you walk around to the next door, Islam. You go, yeah, maybe. Walk to the next one, Jewish faith, maybe. Walk to the next door with a marketing and advertising campaign to get you to go into the building. Hindu, oh, maybe. And on it goes. And each door has a marketing campaign to bedazzle you and lure you in. So all people from all different cultures have different approaches, because different cultures, different mindsets. It's like Buddha and Christ are one and the same. Yeah. Different era on the planet, different culture, different expression of that, what we call in the Western world, the Christ energy, which is the Buddha, right? One and the same. So that people are going like, they might not get caught up in one, or another door is the New Age religion, right? And all of a sudden that marketing campaign speaks to them. Then they go through the door and they go into the building. But all those doors lead to the same building. You're all going into the same place. You all end up in the same place, right? So coming out of the matrix is the key to all of this. And the only way out of the matrix, there's only one way out, and that is to turn inward. And when you go inward, there's a doorway inside of you, that portal, that's your soul. That is the part of you that resides in the heart of the universe, one with the universal creator. And it reaches all the way through all the dimensions to this part of you here. It's the core of your being. When you get into that, right? That's when you access the unified field. And even Einstein found the unified field. He took the journey through numbers and then he found it. And then he realized he had to let go of everything he knew in the world of science and numbers and geometry and the whole lot. And then the scientific community persecuted, castigated him, ridiculed him, and said that he went crazy in the last few years of his life. He didn't go crazy. He found the unified field. That's what happened.
Isn't that more or less what happened to Tesla as well?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
So where does it take? Is this why we don't get to live? I mean, if you look at the ancient books, they talk about how we used to live hundreds of years, and then all of a sudden longevity went down. Is this done on purpose so that we do not, the process of enlightenment does not culminate in what we should be?
The thing is, we're being told what enlightenment is, and we're not in the true organic enlightenment process consciously. Like everyone's in it, but on the conscious level, and that's the problem because people then get pulled away through different ideologies and belief systems. True spirituality, there's one word that just encapsulates what spirituality actually is. Realization. Okay? That is what spirituality actually is. Because in order to become truly enlightened, you have to be real. You have to be true and you have to be authentic. It's not about going into a group and performing a ritual and being inducted or indoctrinated into some sort of, consciousness collective that has a certain amount of knowledge in it. But that's not true spiritual enlightenment.
Collective?
And true spiritual enlightenment is not about raising the vibration.
Collective
I've met lots of races.
or compartment?
Sorry?
Collective or compartment?
So
like some people
you've got all these collective, you got all these bubbles, collective hive mind everywhere. Right. And you got big ones and little ones and smaller ones within bigger ones. It's all fields of resonance, right? So all these collectives, Christianity is a collective, Islam is a collective, but those are all smaller bubbles in a much bigger bubble. I talked about that in the way of the building as an analogy, right? So, and then it comes down to technologies that have been infused in our bodies, which is the chakras, kundalini, pineal gland. That's Empire's tech. And then they give you a narrative to venerate and worship those technologies. And when you activate the pineal gland, boom, you go straight into the hologram of the gods. And you think you've broken free and you're enlightened now because it's a pseudo-universal paradigm, right? It's a mimic universe within our universe, the actual universe. So you got to be careful of that. And the whole hologram of the gods is exactly that because it's built from sacred geometry, you see.
So remember our first talk, the primordial questions. Who are we? Where are we going? Where do we come from? What is our purpose here? And I think every time I talk to you, you evolve in what you say. What is the answer then of the primordial questions?
Yeah, that's easy. We are infinite beings, right? Because in 2003, I experienced myself beyond the universe, and we're truly infinite. There is no beginning to us. There is no end to us. We always have been, and we always will be. The truth of the matter is we have never been created. The isness inside of us, right? The true essence of our being within. We've never been created. And so this is where it exposes this entity, God, that postulates itself to be the creator of all that is and all that exists. And it's just a ancient Draco warlord inside the cosmic domain who's evolved into being the most powerful God in the cosmic domains. He sits on the throne of the hologram of the gods. And at the end of each eon that closes, which is closing now, and sometimes even within an epoch, at the end of an epoch, whoever's sitting on that throne steps down, and then there's a fight between the gods. And that's why we have a war in heaven, because the gods are fighting it out right now to see who's going to be the next one to sit on that throne, to be the god of gods and the hologram of the gods for the next epoch. Or
let me interject for a moment. I keep hearing people talk about the war in heaven. Are you alluding to what's happening, for example, here in the United States with these drones and light beings or light objects?
Oh, that's part of it. That's all part of just disclosure, really. And I'm really hoping that this conflict in the exopolitical space that's happening right now, which the three admirals are involved in, and I'm involved in behind the scenes, is not going to spill into the public domain too much. But the main thing that we are going to have spill into the public domain, and me and the three admirals and everybody else out there who's working in this space, we're driving it. And we are the number one thing, that the priority, and we hit the go button just a few months ago. And I mentioned that on Michael's panel discussion, the one you referred to earlier. In our
Dr. Michael Sala, you're referring to.
Yeah, Exopolitics. Absolutely fantastic. I was on there with JP and Alex Collier. Oh, man, these guys are great, incredible beings. And it was just that whole space is now, the exopolitical space, it's about the children. See, what we had to cut off first in the exopolitical space is the trafficking, especially of the children. Once you target the children, then the trafficking of women and men takes care of itself by default. It's a ripple effect. So, but the children are the priority. And we hit the go button a few months ago, and now you're seeing it play out. You're going to see this whole thing is going to expose, because the energy, the essence of the energy that is running the dark cabal is pedophilia and drugs and technology. You know, they're the three components of the dark energy that is running the whole cabal. And mostly pedophilia, because it's a spiritual war. They don't rape children to get their rocks off. They rape children to steal the energy of the essence of the child, because it's the violation of innocence is the hit for them. They love corrupting innocence more than anything. That's their drug that gives them the biggest hit in life. More than anything physical or technological can stimulate them, is the violation of innocence is the one. It's the biggest drug of the dark side. Are you there?
Oh, can you hear me? I muted myself.
Now I can.
So I apologize. I muted myself. I was saying that this is probably the darkest subject that I've discussed for a long time. But for years, it was considered roadkill. You know, you drive by, you look at it, but you don't want to stop and look at the dead body. You don't want to discuss it. But now more people are finally opening their eyes and their minds to the reality of this, that, you know, children. I've gotten so many people talking to me about how in Australia, United States, you're all over the world, what we call social services. I'm not saying all of them, but social services, they go to somebody's house and they say, well, we heard that you cannot afford to take care of your baby, buy diapers and this and that. We can take care of it. We can take care of the baby. We can put him in a nice foster home, and people, trusting the authorities, they give those babies out. And I'm talking about millions. And that's how they disappear into the hands of these satanic, I don't know what to call them. What do you call these people that engage in these practices, George?
Just evil. It's just pure evil. There's just no other way of saying it. It is pure evil. It's the opposite to live, life. You can call it evil. It's the antithesis of life. Evil is the opposite to live, right? So it's just pure evil. There's just no other way to explain it, and it's sick. And you know, the authorities have taken me throughout my life, and they did torture me, and they did rape me. And I've been raped by hybrids. I've been raped by ETs. I've been raped by members of the ruling elite. Okay. Why did they do that? It's because they know who I am and what I'm here to do. They track everybody who comes into this world. And the people that are here to do something substantial, then they target them. And I lived to tell the tale, Mel.
How are you still alive, George?
You'll be amazed at how things occurred when I had 3 assassination attempts on my life, full-blown assassination attempts. And they tried to kill me in the abductions as well, but they can't do it. You know, and the beauty of this is it's just made me, it's like after I had a meeting, I was taken to a meeting with the grandfather of the mind control program within the super soldier program. And this guy was the grandfather of the mind control side of it. And I had a 5.5 hour meeting with this gentleman who proceeded to threaten my life 6 times over that 5.5 hours. And I had a witness, And we recorded afterwards what had transpired. Sat down with my wife at the time and my friend who was there at the meeting, because he actually he was the one who they came through to get to me. And really, you've got to realize that these beings, and at the end of that meeting, because he tried all the mind control tricks on me that he possibly could. And he's got the waitress twirling under his hand. She's dancing around a circle under his hand, and he's pointing the finger at me. He's like, if I want to take you out, I'll take you out. That's the kind of stuff I was dealing with in that meeting. Okay. So it was very serious. This is not a game. This is not a fantasy. This is
17 seasons of uncensored interviews. While you're hearing part 1 with ads, Veritas Plus members get part 2 immediately, plus video interviews and discounted transcripts. Become a Veritas Plus member today at veritas7.com.
This is reality, and this is the areas that I operate in, and these are the type of people that have come at me over the years, and I've lived to tell the tale. And I said to that guy at the end of the meeting, because he asked me the question when we finished, he goes, so what'd you get out of this meeting? And I said, I just want to thank you. Really, I really deeply want to thank you for this wonderful experience and exchange and the opportunity, because my internal fortitude has now grown tenfold as a result. And he just went back in his chair, because I said it with so much conviction, and he felt my energy hit him, and he just freaked out. He completely freaked out. Now, this man is connected to other well-known speakers, and he made sure that these other speakers tried to character assassinate me after that, because they're his puppets. So, and I'm not going to name names, but I can assure you that there's a lot of speakers out there who are the puppets of this conductor of minds.
Let's dissect this more without you naming names. Who is really in charge of this planet?
Who's in charge of the planet? God.
Yes, God.
At the moment, not. Well, overall, the planet herself.
Well, it doesn't feel like God right now.
All of this to take place. Mother Sophia. See, people don't know where they are. You call her Mother Earth, but who is she? See what I mean? People have no idea of the construct of creation. Yeah, everyone's bouncing around, reacting to stories and narratives and dramas. But is anybody actually dropping into creation itself? Because, and I had this debate yesterday with a preacher, a born-again preacher in the car park of my local town, who doesn't live here. He comes from another place. He was holidaying here. But he saw my tattoo of the sword, and he pulled me up, and he goes, what's that about? And then he just hammered me with all this God stuff, and I just pulled the sword out and just ripped him apart. And I said, mate, you just parroting back the narrative of the Pharisees that handed it to you. I said, you're worshipping a version of Christ that Pharisees handed to you, and you're worshipping the deity of the Pharisees. And that is the sad problem that has befallen the entire world of Christendom. And Christ warned everybody about that. And this is what's happened to the whole world of Christianity. It's wild.
So you really think that Christianity has been transformed in not a good way? I mean, look at the Pope that we have right now. Look at the Vatican and what they do.
Every religion. So whether you're Christian, Islam, or let's say Hebraic in nature, right? And then you can go to other religions too, and it's all the same entity. It's like I said to you before, if Christ came to this planet 600 years prior to 2,000 years ago, and it did, in the masculine, came to this planet, and that was Buddha, the one and only. There's only ever been one Buddha, only one real Buddha. All the rest are mimics. That's why the rest have all the curls on their headdress, because that's when they activate the pineal gland. It opens up all the vortexes of energy, and that's what the curls represent, right? Accessing the hologram of the gods, right? The Siddhartha, Gautama, one and only Buddha. All the rest are in mimics, imposters, hijacking his identity. And the same with the Christ so that same intelligence came 600 years later to the planet, and you're being sold a version of that. Now, the real name of the being, dead and buried, it's like no one's allowed to utter that word in relation to Christ. But it'll come out when the time's right, and people are going to feel it deep down inside.
Now, why can't it be uttered?
Because God won't let it. Because God wants its version of Christ to be the dominant one, because there's a harvest that's coming, Mel.
Now let's you open that door. Obviously,
All right.
something happened. I don't know if you concur with me being in Australia. And I mentioned before we started the conversation, I told you, what happened in Australia. I expected more of Australia during the pandemic time. But in this part of the world, something happened in the past few weeks. It's like almost like something came out of our chest, and this pressure is being released. There's something going on. Do you agree with that?
100%. 100%. I'm living it. I've been living it for years. This is like, I've got this at head level. Sure, I'm blowing people's minds, right? Sure. But there's no doubt about it. That is in the core of your being. See that? That's your core. And we are a perpetual fountain.
For those people who are not watching the video, I mean, we have this on video, but George there's people who are watching the video, but a lot of people they just like to listen to their radio time and only audio. Okay. But, George is describing a painting he has behind him.
Yeah. And I have it up. I have it behind me for just about all of my webinars and presentations and interviews. So a lot of people see it once they see others, like with Michael, for example, they'll see it. And so this is the core of your being. This is where your intention to be in this realm, it's in here. So if you put your arms out, straight out, and you look at your vertical axis to bring maths and geometry into the equation, just for the sake of your mind and your entrained mind, so vertical and horizontal axis, where the two intersect, that's the core of your being. Okay. So, that there in there is your heart soul essence. It's kind of like around where the thymus is, but a little bit above that. So it's not connected to the thymus. I'm just saying this is not like chakras or anything like that. This is not attached to any physical part of your body. It's a proximity location, and the core of your being is beneath your quantum field. This is subquantum we're talking about, right? Because your intention comes in to the space-time location where you are occupying right this moment. That's where you want to be, okay? And then from there, it comes out of that point of unity, the unified field, then it disperses out and it goes into the quantum. And then through the quantum, you've got all these blobs of plasma, and each blob of plasma is a thought former, an intention. And then each blob will go to its specific space-time location. And then that little thing supernovas, and that becomes a little star, or the nucleus of your atom. Yeah. And then that has a theme and an intention. And then all of these little star systems that start to animate and become manifested form then start to gather. And then they create a nebula, which is a molecule. And then they have themes, and then they come together and then they create what we call a cell, or a galactic realm. And we're full universal fractals. All other races out there, all other planetary systems are all partial fractal. We are the only one that is full fractal. And that's why our genetics are the most prized commodity, and the genetics of our children and the essence of our children is the purest universal energy. It's just phenomenal who we are as a species and what we are. And that's been taken from us. And we've been kept in a very tight bubble of lies and illusion. And the truth of the matter is we're so much greater than what we're being told. Much greater.
I'm glad you brought back the fractal topic, because for people, it's a little bit tough to really understand what fractal compression of universal light is. It's a concept that challenges conventional wisdom. But what does it really mean for humanity to be a fractal of universal intelligence? And why is this understanding so pivotal?
The reason it's so pivotal is simply because we are that. What it's doing is to come back into the structure of us, the structure of the realm, the structure of creation. Because the creation itself, and this is like one of the things I brought up with this preacher, because he's caught up in idolatry, in the cult of Jesus. It's a cult of personality, right? It's not Christ. Okay. So, and the proof, I mean, there is no record of a Jesus Christ walking this planet. No record at all. It's like, the records that exist for the Jesus version of a Christ walking this earth is no different to saying that Khufu built the Great Pyramid, right? That's the level of evidence that exists, right? Meaning next to nothing, and whatever's in the Great Pyramid is a bit of falsified graffiti that somebody put up there. So it's just ridiculous. And anybody who comes into the heart of the Christos within themselves, because it's part of your soul structure, right? Now, I'm not saying there wasn't a Christ that walked the earth. I already have said that there was, 2,600 years ago and 2,000 years ago and other times again, before then and since then, right? The story of King Arthur, for example, even though that wasn't his real name, but it's trying to tell you something. Anyway, this is all coming through, and you're going to find out very, very soon when you go into your own expression of your own Christhood, let's call it that, your expression of the heart of the Christos, because it's understanding what Christ is as well. We'll get to that in a sec. And so it's part of your soul structure. It's within you. So if you're going to worship an entity, because if Christ turns up in the physical, the last thing that entity wants is for you to worship it. And the first thing that entity wants is to see you empowered from within. Yeah. So I work with that intelligence, with Christ. I'm one with Christ. So here I am with the preacher, and I'm saying, mate, it's idolatry. It's a cult of personality. You've been hoodwinked. You bought into the mind control and the sorcery of the Pharisees, right? That's what you've bought into if you believe that narrative. And when you read that book, it's a book of spells. You don't understand how much magic is involved in priestly castes and churches and the Vatican. It's all dark magic, a whole lot. It's all sorcery.
Well, you're mentioning a few of those, let's call them avatars if you want. But, you mentioned Corfu in Egypt, but I'm thinking of the similarities between Horus, and I know this offends some people, but let's just entertain some ideas here. You don't want to take them, that's fine. This is like a buffet. Take what you want and leave the rest. But Jesus, you have Horus said to have been, born to Isis. Jesus born to Virgin Mary. Isis was also a virgin. The birth announcement, the same thing. The childhood threats they both had. The baptism, the 12 disciples. Horus had 12 followers. Jesus, the 12 apostles. The miracles, the conflict with evil, death and resurrection, the titles and epithets. It's almost like they're taking one story and making it more digestible. Like Dolores kind of told me one day, she went to the Vatican and somebody took her to an area of the Vatican that the public doesn't see. It's all Egyptian stuff. And the man said to her, "Oh, Dolores, you don't know this? Christianity basically was taken from the Egyptian lore. So why? Why did this happen?"
100%. And before we answer that question, that's my ancestor, priestly king of Greece, equivalent to the Pope, in 1347. This is on my father's side. I want you to know this is in my DNA. This is in my blood, right? I'm not shooting from the hip. I know what I'm talking about here.
Talk about the Greek Orthodox Church, right?
Correct, right? And on my mother's side of the family, my ancestor built the gates to the city of Constantinople. The name was changed from Palikrinos, which means the return of the peace lily, and it was changed to Xiloporta, which means the wooden door, the wooden gates. My ancestor did such a good job. He was brought into the fold because he had great wisdom as well, and was brought into the fold of the Creed of Nicaea. My ancestor participated in the Nicene Creed. It was ratified in 328 AD, finalized as a state religion, and then imposed onto everybody. So, I'm not shooting from the hip, and I'm not a researcher.
But refresh us, because I'm glad that you're talking about this. But Council of Nicaea, the emperor made religion be part of the government all in one.
100%. It took them 28 years. They started in 300, and they called in all the spiritual doctrines from the known world. Of course, they didn't include Australian Aborigines and Mayans and all that, or some of it. But most of it was from, Europe, Africa, Asia, those sorts of places, the Nordics up north, the Celts. things like that, the Druids. A lot of that was all brought in together. And then what they did is they created basically a state religion out of amalgamating everything. That's why, Easter is with the fertility goddess Esther, comes after that. The Christmas time is all about the Northern Hemisphere's winter solstice, right? So it's a no-brainer when you just get out of your belief system. You've got to step out of that and just look at it objectively. Let's introduce a scientific method into this, because that's what real science is, not the cult of science, the religion that we've got now. That's a cult. But I'm a true scientist, and so are you, Mel, because you know why? Because you're interested in exploring new frontiers. Yeah? That's the essence of science. Yeah? No limits or restrictions, just to really go out and explore life to its fullest. That's the purity and the essence of real science.
Isn't that the purpose of life? When I say enlightenment, I'm talking about learning, knowledge, wisdom, all that. Gnosis.
You see what we have in the way of religion.
Loving this interview? We have 17 seasons of content just like this, plus part 2 of every episode, all ad-free for Veritas Plus members. Become a member today at veritas7.com.
And science is a duality, a dialectic that was created, split from the unified field of exactly what we're talking about as being whole. It's part of being on the spiritual journey. It's part of that journey into discovery and adventure, not only in the world around you, but your innerverse. We have to go to our innerverse to understand ourselves and the world around us, right? Because if only you look out, then all you're doing is you're putting stuff into here, which is all external narrative, and now you're becoming a programmed droid. Now you're just reacting and responding to all these external influences and narratives. That ain't going to end well. It never has, and it never will. What we are being forced to do now by natural attrition, because of the way the realm is structured and where we're headed, is out here it's going to get so freaking crazy and wild and chaotic that nobody's going to know who's who, what's what, what's up, what's down, what's back the front. It's going to be total madness, right? And the only place left to get to what's real is in here. So everybody's going to be forced to turn inward. And if you don't do that, then you will have to sell yourself over to one ideology or another. And you'll be harvested either by the technological intelligence god, which is currently migrating and assimilating people into the singularity. So the harvest is on. Excuse me, and or by a deity of worship, which then you get harvested and taken into the heavenly realms. Because, when I was at the bottom pits of my life, and this is the Jesus character, he's an absolute predator, right? Turned up in my bedroom at 3 a.m. I didn't invite that entity at all into my space. It just turns up and it's showering me with all this light. The wall disappeared. It was really quite a very substantial interdimensional experience. And I was at the bottom, the pits of my life. But I was lucky. I already had my experience in 2003. So this was like a bit later. And I already had that point of reference to my soul within. So I stood up in my bed. I just stood straight up. I'm being full. It's like a force of energy is hitting you with all this love and light energy. And then I stepped down off the bed and I'm just looking. I turned to the side and I'm looking at this being and I'm feeling the light and the love coming off it. And then I went inward. And does it match with my soul in the heart of the universe, one with the creator of this universe and one with the Christos, my heart of the Christos within? Yeah? And there was no match. And I just turned around, I looked at this being and I went, you're a fucking predator. You do this, you come, you heal people, because when that entity comes and it heals someone, what does it do after that? What happens to that person? They're a devotee.
Right.
They become a devotee. Now they're projecting all their life force and intention and the amount of praise. They've got to give this entity. Come on, you walk through your shopping center at Christmas time. Oh, Christ, let us adore him. Praise the Lord. Like, why does he need that much adoration? Why does he need that much praise? Is he that insecure as an entity that he needs that much? Do you need that much praise, Mel? I'm sure you don't.
I don't know if in Australia it's the same thing as here in the United States, but here we have Santa Claus. And a lot of people don't know where that came from, and we can do an entire show about Santa Claus and how it has taken over what religion and the birth of Christ and all that stuff. And then we can even talk about the 28 days, 13-month calendar that was changed so we can just continue to disconnect ourselves from true nature. I mean, I'm just dropping some things at you here.
100%. And there's a layer beneath that because, the time before the moon was more natural than the time since the moon. Okay. So there's another topic there, but I want to stay with this Jesus topic.
But wait, when you say before the moon,
because this is about to happen.
But are you saying, hold on, are you saying the moon was brought here? When you say before the moon?
Of course.
Why? What's the purpose?
Well, we'll go into that in a minute. That's what I'm saying. Just give me a break.
Sure.
Let's just finish with this Jesus thing. Because I was born into Greek Orthodox. I showed you my bloodline. I told you about the heritage of my family. And I attended a Catholic boys' high school. So this is steeped. I'm steeped in this stuff. It's in my blood. Yeah, it's part of my journey here. And I'm working with Christ, both in the masculine and the feminine. It's like people think Christ is exclusively a masculine thing. Hello? That's a giveaway straight away. They don't know the actual true essence of Christ. Anyway. So this entity, once it turns up at someone and they're at the bottom, at the pits of their life, and this entity comes and saves them and offers them salvation and will even do a miraculous healing on them, because from that moment on, a person is hooked. Mel, person is a devotee. Now that person is going to pray to that being. They're going to steer intention, life force, consciousness towards that being. They're going to praise it for the rest of their freaking lives. They're going to worship it, right? This, you got to look out. This is not the true Christ. This is a mimic and it's a predator. That is the reality. And it's a cult of personality. And I stand by that all the way. I put my sword in the ground and that energy shall not pass. Because that has what has befallen the whole world of Christianity. I'm telling you, everybody's worshipping a version of Christ that the Pharisees have handed to them, and they're worshipping the deity of the Pharisees, called God, what you call God, or you can call it Allah, or you can call it Yahweh. It doesn't matter what you want to call it. And the true Christ, some of the teachings of the real Christ came through, some. And one of them was that God of the Old Testament, that is not my Father. Christ made an absolute statement on that point. That made it through. What's another one? The kingdom of heaven is within. What's another one? Know thyself. These are the gems from the true Christ that made it through. So all I'm saying is everyone's been hoodwinked. Don't worry if you want to call me a Satanist or I'm possessed by Satan, because there's a political, cosmopolitical narrative infused into the human collective over thousands of years. Look what COVID did to people's minds. Now think what it would do to people's minds and the Stockholm syndrome and the trauma that if you don't believe in this Jesus character, then you're a heathen and we're going to cut your tongue out. We're going to hang you, or we're going to quarter you, or we're going to burn you at the stake, or we're going to put you on the rack and torture you till you can capitulate to worship this entity, right? So can we just get real about this and come out of this illusionary dream, this trance that they've got everybody in the world of Christendom, because that is not true Christianity, right? Everybody's befallen into the mimic, and the cabal has mind controlled, brainwashed everybody about this thing, and no one knows the true essence of Christ, up until recently, or the very few that held it secret in the underworld, right? Or the underground, or the occults, which means the hidden groups that, bring the ancient knowledge forward. And I assure you, the Templars are listening to me, the Masons are listening to me, all the authorities are listening to me right now, and they know I'm telling the truth. And I had a librarian from the Vatican who was in the 5th level of the library, the deepest. Right? There's 5 levels to the library in the Vatican. He booked a private session with me, Mel, and we talked. And he said to me, there's not even a handful of people, 4 at the most, he said, on the whole freaking planet, we monitor everybody who's saying what, and you are just one of those 4 that actually know the truth, and we needed to let you know that. and he left the Vatican. He's no longer a priest. He left the priesthood. Yeah, and he books a session with me. So, and I've got it recorded. So, this is real. I'm not making stuff up. I'm not possessed by Satan trying to pretend, trying to mislead or misdirect people. I'm here with the sword of truth, telling you exactly how it is. Now, whatever anybody chooses to do with this information that I've just shared, with this knowledge, this body of knowledge, that's entirely up to you. How you respond and how you react, or what you do with this knowledge, that's entirely up to you. But I just told you an absolute fact of reality. It's an absolute actuality what I just shared about what's happened to the Christian world. And this is going to be a rude shock. And don't worry, if you love your Jesus that much, that entity is coming to harvest you. So it's okay. You don't have to look in the mirror and face yourself and come to terms with the fact that you've invested so much of yourself into a false narrative or into an imposter. It's okay. You don't have to do that. Yeah? You don't have to be that real.
Well, let's say
continue to live in that dream.
Let's say, George, that was an individual that came down to earth, was born here to Mary or whomever, and allegedly did what the Bible told us that Jesus did. And obviously, some force, some people, parasites, Pharisees, Sabbateans, just fill in the blanks. They tarnish what the real teachings were. The one thing in common that I see, if that individual existed, I really, really doubt that he or she wanted devotion and money and churches all over the place and having to give you 10%. All that to me seems spunk.
Yeah. And let's add on top of that what people call communion. Do you think Christ would have anything to do with a flesh and blood ritual at all? It's like Greek Orthodox. When I first did that as a young child in the church, I nearly threw up. I had the worst feeling in my whole body, my being. It was disgusting. And I remember my christening. I saw the portal open up. I saw what was there when I was being christened as a little baby. I saw it all. And I see things. I've seen the church, what goes on in churches. Don't you worry about that. These are not temples of love at all. These are temples of assimilation into an ideology, into a god.
I may not have a lineage like you do with a Greek Orthodox Pope, but I was an altar boy for 10 years, went to Catholic school all my life. So I know, and I was very lucky. I was one of the lucky ones. We've heard of all the horror stories of other people who have written to me that they've gone through, the rapes and all that just because they don't allow, the priest to get married. But that's a different story. But when it comes to all of this, the people who are listening to us, some might be offended, some might be thinking, okay, let me consider this other, variable to the equation. What do you tell them? Because obviously everybody wants to know that we're not an insignificant piece of, dust in this vast universe.
Well, let me just say another one. Do you really want to believe the story that we were created as slaves to mine gold? Is that really what you want to believe?
You mean the Anunnaki, the whole thing, Nephilim?
Yeah. Come on. We come from love, okay? You need to remember, not understand. You need to remember and understand it, yeah? To get to what's real is inside of you, and we're way more than what you've been led to believe. And if you want to know where the source of pedophilia comes from, maybe you might want to reconsider that there's this entity called God that is actually spiritually molesting every man, woman, and child on this planet. And that's the truth of it. And there's going to be people that are going to be very upset with me. Yeah? But don't attack the messenger. I'm delivering reality. We're in the time of the apocalypse. I have had personal direct experience with all of this. I'm not a researcher. I don't read books. I listen to the odd podcast here and there, but everything I share is from direct experience. People monitor my computer. They know I'm telling the truth. I don't scour the internet for information at all. In fact, I connect in through my heart soul essence, into my soul, my heart soul essence, into the unified field of creation. If I want to know about this planet, I don't go to some Akashic field. That's Empire's library, and you access it through the pineal gland. I don't do that. Why would I want to go there? It's like going to the state library down your road thinking you get the answers to life. It ain't going to happen, right? And sure, it's fancy, it's holographic, and they edit it, hologrammatically edit the Akashic field. So you're only going to get what Empire wants you to see every time you go in there. Sure, you're going to get more because it's, multidimensional nature a little bit, a couple of extra, frequencies thrown in. But that's all it is. If you want to get to what's real and true about this realm, you go into your heart soul essence, into the core of your being, and you go into the heart of the planet, because your relationship with this planetary woman is why you exist here. You have a soul level agreement from the heart of the universe with this planetary intelligence and the solar, galactic, cosmic, universal, to come here at this time and have this incarnational experience. So your agreement of co-creation with the intelligence of this planet is why you exist here. Yeah. And everybody's been mind controlled into believing, because of all those cosmopolitical narratives I shared at the beginning, everyone's been mind controlled into believing that this is bad, this place. We're at the bottom of the universe. You must raise your vibration. Yeah. That's a lie, because this is all about integrating into unity. Right. So the whole raising your vibration thing is the hierarchical model in the hologram of the gods. They're all about hierarchy. Yeah. And because I know who God is in the essence of it before it became this really powerful God. I could tell the whole story of it, and all the angelics, the whole thing. It's, everyone knows. Like, what I'm sharing is not some sort of weird conspiracy theory. What I'm sharing with you is fully known by the vast, overwhelming majority of life in the universe that live in the natural way of life, in the natural way of love, in the natural way of light, natural light, organic light. All this other stuff, it's all politics, because it's all has to do with the hologram of the gods and their imperial narratives and their imperial ways. Yeah. And so here we are, we've come to this planet, and we're on offer here is this most powerful crucible. These avatars, these bodies we're in, are the most powerful crucibles of alchemy in the universe. And you come here and you are able to actually get all of your light, to see all of your light and all of your shadow, because that's what the purpose of the sun is to illuminate shadow. That's why the gods hate it. They hate the sun, because every time they come here, it illuminates their shadow.
Well, this is why we have chemtrails.
And that's why they have to hate on the sun.
This is why they don't want you to be in the sun. This is why during the pandemic, They wanted you inside as opposed to being out there, in the forest, at the beach. I still remember these pictures, George, in your own country of somebody trying to swim and being arrested there. But we have to take a one and only break. When we come back, I want to get deeper, George, because you talk about the Universal Space Council, and I want to just dive into that and see what's really coming. People are expecting something, and I'm not talking about the last card that Dr. Carol Rosen talks about, the last card of the alien invasion, something else. But tell us, how can people learn more about your work and get in touch with you these days, George?
So if you want to explore the work further, ourjourneyhome.earth is my website. And, I have lots of monthly webinars and that. And if you become a member, it costs you a cup of coffee a week, and you will have access to knowledge, wisdom, and information that will completely transform your life. Hundreds of hours of videos, presentations. Each webinar is like a workshop, monthly webinar. So, lots of people coming on, and their lives are being transformed for real. And the only way your life gets transformed is if you're authentic in your approach. It's the only way it's going to happen.
One more hour to come. The return of George Kavassilas. This is Mel Hustlerick, and you are listening to VERITAS. Don't go anywhere. Thank you for listening to the first part of this important VERITAS episode. To listen to the rest and access all of our exclusive material, head over to the Veritas Plus member section or click the subscribe button at veritasproject.com. Don't forget to visit the Veritas store for a range of great products, including focused life force energy. Experience the benefits with a 15-day free trial of FLFE today. No credit card required. If you'd like to get in touch with me, be a guest on the program, have a guest suggestion, or want to provide feedback, just click the contact button on our website at veritasproject.com. Thank you for listening to The Veritas Project, because you don't want to believe, you want to know. Tonight, I want to share something deeply personal, a song I wrote, born from one of the most profound moments of my life. 30 years ago, I lost my father, and not a day goes by that I don't think about the words I never said. Life moves quickly, and we often take for granted the chance to express what's in our hearts. For me, that chance slipped away. The song you're about to hear, Goodbye Through the Endless Blue, reflects my journey, both on a plane and within myself. This song is for my dad, but it's also for anyone who knows the pain of unspoken farewells. It's a reminder to speak your heart while you can. So I invite you to listen deeply and never let the chance to say goodbye slip away.
To the man who taught me how to live and how could have said goodbye.